happy Monday, or as happy as Mondays get. Although Mondays during summer are a lot less stressful traffic-wise than normal Mondays, so I can live with that. Fortunately, I have a relatively quiet schedule at the moment, other than a shit ton of paperwork, which is fine. I'll just find an office and do that. Folks, today's topic is an important one near and dear to my heart, which would be the hurricane season. More specifically, they're forecasting hurricanes to start forming soon in, hey, what's up, Joe? Start forming in the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, depending if you want to be fun or not. I'm going the wrong way here. That's what I get for doing live streams. In any case, hey, farmer. So right now, we are the 14th, so we're the Monday, July 14th of 25. They're anticipating that the storm may arrive, hey Gerald, sometime at the Friday, Saturday time frame. The one good thing about hurricanes is they tend to be big, and so we can see them on radar. And they tend to move relatively slowly compared to, say, a tornado that is usually hidden within thunderstorms, and then it appears and moves, 40 miles an hour. Granted, the hurricanes move 40 miles an hour, but they form, 500 miles away. Well, that gives you a little bit of window to prepare and to make ready. Hey, Hudson. Hey, Loretta. So my concern is if we get, now they're predicting, and this one's an 80% probability. So again, this is not like, oh no, panic. It's more be alert to this potential threat kind of situation. Here's the problem. It would be coming, so Harvey came from the south, almost from the Yucatan Peninsula, and came up the coast, clipped Corpus and hit Victoria, the Victoria area, and then it peed on Houston. And then it went to Houston, then it made a circle and came back. It just kept, it was like in a toilet. It kept making circles and beating up Houston and Victoria, that whole area. This storm would be coming straight across Florida, going across New Orleans and into Houston. And they're predicting it'll go like almost from west to east. I'm sorry, east to west in a straight line right along the coast, which is bad because it's going to hit all of Florida, then it's going to hit New Orleans, then it's going to hit Andrew took years and years ago. Hey, Vision, what's going on? Hey, random dude. My big concern, I mean, a hurricane in and of itself is dangerous, and people need to be mindful of that. The problem is, if it comes in, especially if it comes in at a Cat 4 or 5, and it's moving slow, it's going to drop a buttload of rain on the Houston area. Now, all the flooding in Kerrville that we've all been talking about and watching is going out into the Gulf of Mexico. So basically, all that water's coming out between Corpus Christi, down on the coast, and around to Houston in the Trinity River. So that whole delta, that curve in Texas map that's against the Gulf of Mexico, that's where the water's coming out. That ground is already wet and it's saturated because of the rain we just had. And if you didn't notice, so we had the July 4th flooding, right? We just had another round of rain. It was mild where I was. There was some street flooding, nothing serious. But it made one of the rivers near San Antonio rise almost 25 feet. It was just about to breach the bridges when it finally subsided. All that water is headed south. It's headed to the Gulf. Hey, it's raining in Ohio now. Yeah, and Joe just reported that his area is like 105 Fahrenheit, which is really a wild temperature that far north. But this is where folks can get ready, and they also need to pay attention because what you've had precursor events, right? You've had a lot of rain locally in Houston, then you had flooding to the north, and all that water is draining to the southeast, is coming out into the Gulf of Mexico, which is the way the water normally flushes out. And the ground is saturated, and the waterways, all the drainage is still pushing water out. So it's full. It doesn't have a lot of capacity. And this is where, hey, MFCD, howdy. Hey, Ghost Lincoln. This is how people wind up getting in trouble because they don't realize, like, oh, I've gone through a Cat 3, a Cat 4 before. I've gone through several. And it's always an experience, and it's always different. There's always some variable that makes every hurricane a little different. My fear with this one is that the grounds are already saturated and the waterways are already full. And we just had more rain to the west and to the north, which is going to go that way. And it's going to drain away. So if they get any significant rainfall, as much water as that part of Texas can absorb, because the ground is very porous, it can't absorb that much. There's just not enough capacity. And this is where you start getting the ugly flooding in Houston. And in a big city like that, you have a lot of underpasses, overpasses, tunnel areas. That's where you start to get in trouble. That's where people start to have accidents. Hey, Pilgrim, hey, Skydive, it's super important for people to understand it's not just the hurricane. You have to look back at what has happened. And this is anywhere. For instance, if you're, I'm gonna, like Vision just said, Ohio's getting rain, right? So if Ohio got a bunch of rain and the ground is wet, and then they get some weird nor'easter of some type coming out of Canada, well, guess what? They're going to get flooding in certain areas because the ground's already wet. Now, they don't get a hurricane that far north, but a good nor'easter, as they used to call them, is basically a backwards hurricane. You do get those up on the northern, pretty much from Wisconsin all the way out to Maine. You get those weird tornadic hurricane type storms. Normally, they bring blizzards, but you get flooded. So when you have a big event that's been forecasted and it's like, okay, this storm will be here by Friday, now's a good time to make ready. What you don't want to do, you get a lot of people in the public who are like, oh no, it said only 50% chance, only 70% chance. And so they do nothing. And I've had people literally tell me this. They'll tell me, oh, well, if it starts to flood, I'll do something then. Or if the storm turns my way, I'll do something then. But then everyone else is doing the same thing. And what you wind up with is a major panic and a rush on the stores, and nothing's available. And that's just a pain in the ass. So right now is a great time to look at what has happened in your area. And again, if we're talking Houston, the Galveston, Houston, Beaumont, Corpus area, that general area, you guys have already been rained on. And not only were you rained on, you got all the runoff water from us out west in West Texas, because remember, we're at 3,000 foot elevation. Down there, they're at 20 foot elevation, right? The water goes that way because gravity says so. Kerrville and San Antonio and Austin just got another batch of bad rain that actually missed us but hit them, and the rivers rose again. So now it's a whole bunch of waters going out into the Gulf of Mexico. Now's a good time. Check. So here's my hurricane tips. If you have a home in Houston, in the Gulf, anywhere, and again, it may not hit, it might turn. We know how hurricanes are. If you've lived in hurricane country, all of a sudden the hurricane's like, nah, I'm going to go beat up, I don't know, Cancun. And it makes a left turn and beats up Cancun, or it beats up New Orleans. This one looks like it wants to go to Houston. And it's going to hit Beaumont and New Orleans on the way there. So it's going to beat up the whole coast. If it doesn't turn and it makes that track, it's going to flood. And then the storms it spawns are going to go hit, get this, it's going to hit the Kerrville area again. The area that just flooded are going to get the spin-off storms. So if you live in these areas, specifically Houston, first thing, check your vehicle. Make sure your vehicle's ready. Keep your gas full. Check your tires. Check your oil. If you can change your own oil and you won't get in trouble with your HOA, great. If you got to go run to Valvoline or something and get it done, do that. Make sure your water's topped off in the house, right? Get some cases of bottled water. I also recommend getting one of those big blue bins for general purpose water, for flushing toilets if the water goes out, washing your hands, washing dishes, and cooking. all the stuff we use water for, because we immediately think, oh, have water to drink, but we use water for a bunch of other stuff. Have some tap water, and you could put it in a 5-gallon bucket and put a lid on it. You could go cheap, right? And then you just, what you need, you ladle it out with a cup into whatever container you need to cook or to wash. You don't have to like invest hundreds of dollars. If you can, that's great. You get the water cubes and everything, but if you can't, that's fine too, right? Use a bucket. Now, I would designate one for general purpose and then the bottles for drinking. I wouldn't drink from the dirty water, obviously, because then you get a whole nother problem. Correct transfer case. Oh no, that's terrible. Hey, Moldy. All right, well, good. I'm glad everyone's doing okay. So in any case, 1, check your vehicle. 2, make sure you have enough water. Have some canned food, have some, the general stuff. Foods of long-term foods, canned foods, which I consider kind of medium term, and then your regular food. If you can't find bread in the store, as you get closer to the storm, forget the bread section, go to the frozen foods. And you guys know those Pillsbury, the stupid cans for Pillsbury Doughboy, the biscuits, that it scares kids because they have to push it with a spoon and it pops and scares the children. Get some of those Italian bread rolls that they have. They have these, basically it's like a loaf. You get them and you pop those open and cook them the night before the storm arrives, right? Because it needs to be refrigerated when it's raw. Once you cook it, it's like any other bread. It'll sit on the counter. And I can eat stale bread, right? Once it's cooked, I'll eat the stale bread. I don't care if I'm hungry, I'll eat it. You could dip it in coffee. Also, if you have a camping stove, make sure you got the little bottles of propane. If you have a grill, make sure you have a propane for that as well. I would check your generator. I try to check mine at least every 3 months. I'll pull it out, turn it on, put some symbolic load on it, and let it run for 5-10 minutes, get the carbon out of the system, and then I'll cool it off and pack it up again. Make sure you have fuel for the propane stoves and for your generator if you have one. Also, do all the laundry you need to do beforehand, right? What we used to try to do whenever we knew a storm was coming is we washed everything. Like, we'd wear the same clothes for a couple of days right before the storm, and we'd wash everything we could and hang it up to dry or run it through the dryer so that we had zero laundry to do, because that wastewater that we could use for something else. And we have clothes, so because you get wet if something falls, a tree limb falls, and you got to deal with that in the mud, those clothes get dirty. You don't have power, you at least know, okay, I have a change of clothes here. Yeah, Hudson's absolutely right. Cash, Mike's absolutely right. Cash, important documents. If you don't have a bug out book for your documents, you should have them on a hard drive, keep them in a folder, whatever it is. And also keep hard copies of your insurance, hard copies, house insurance, somewhere high, like on top of your fridge. In the event you do need to call insurance, the sooner you call them, the better it is. You're going to get the response a lot faster if you call in sooner. And have that paperwork hidden. Thank you, Mike. That was an excellent point. Excellent point, brother. Cash. The ATMs give 20s. That makes me annoyed. If you go into the bank and pull cash, certain banks will give you, like Chase will give you 1s, 5s, 20s, and 100s. So I love going into the bank when I have the time to do so. And I'll take some cash out, but I'll take the smaller denominations. Now, granted, you walk out of there with, a pile of 1s and 5s, you look like you're going to a strip club, right? But that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we have smaller denominations, because what'll happen after the storm, power goes out, right? You can't use cards, but you have cash, but you only have 20s. You go to a store and they're like, I don't have change, because they've run out. So now you either have to buy $20 of shit, or you have to pay $20 for whatever you did want, even if it doesn't cost 20. Having the smaller bills really makes life easier for the store, and it makes life easier for you. And we've had it happen where I'm like, look, I got 2 5s and 4 1s, and I got $14, you need 15, and the store owner's like, forget the extra dollar, just give me the 14, we'll call it good. You can kind of work with them a little bit, because they're like, look, just pay me, we're good, the dollar doesn't mean anything right now, and they're cool. What was I gonna, batteries. I put a video out about batteries this morning. Make sure you have batteries. Check your flashlights, check your smoke detectors, whatever other devices you use day to day. Make sure your radio, if you have a battery, you should have battery powered radio somewhere in your house. Make sure you have batteries for that as well. Don't have to break the bank if you're on a budget and it's tight. Just get enough to refill the flashlights and the radio and leave it for now. And what else? There was something else. Your house. If you have French drains, try to clear them out. Clear out all your drains on your property. If you have gutters, try to get up there if you can. If you can't, use that little hose attachment and blow the garbage out of the gutters as much as you can. You may not be able to do it. You come home from work, you're tired, it starts getting dark, you may not have time. Try to do it anyway. Also, clear your property of debris, anything that can get blown around. This is a good drill. This is not time to panic. These are very simple and relatively cheap or free steps you can take to make your home ready for hurricanes. And I'm speaking not only as a guy who deployed for Harvey. Harvey was my 9th hurricane as a family. I mean, we got Harvey, we got Rita, we got Lily, we got, Andrew. No, we missed Andrew. Ike. And then there was the Texas Tax Day floods, which was almost a hurricane. Tropical Storm Allison, which flooded Houston. That's 7 off the top of my head. And in 2 states, no less. So we went from South Louisiana all the way to Houston, and now we're out in West Texas. And now it's like a whole different weather environment here. We get hail like this big that breaks windshields while you're driving, which is horrifying, by the way, because that comes out of nowhere. You at least know the hurricanes are coming. Little loan prepper raises a good point. You can preload your car. Now, there's a risk if the windows get broken by debris, everything in the car could get wet. But on the flip side, if you have to run, you can jump in the car and go. Now, another option, which is one we've done because we thought we'd have to evacuate in one hurricane, we pre-packed our bags and we staged them on the dining table. We cleared the dining table of other stuff. We put all our bags, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, laid out, ready to go, so that we could make sure that we were ready, because it doesn't take us very long to just run, grab our bags, throw them in a truck, and go. If you have pets, make sure they have harnesses. Make sure you have some food set aside for your pet. You could put it in a Ziploc or in a Tupperware. I would measure out at least 3 to 5 days of food. I mean, if you don't use it for the hurricane, just, put it back in the big bin and give it to them at the house. It's not like the food goes to waste. The kibble will stay just fine at room temperature. Make sure you do these little things now, because this is what really gets people during hurricanes. Is they're thinking, I'm going to evacuate, and that's when they start thinking about, oh no, I need to get my paperwork, I need to get the dog stuff, I need to get grandma's medicine. And now you've got 100 things going through your head, and then they start to panic, and then they become indecisive. They stop making progress because they're confused, and then the water gets up to them, and then they have a problem. Jeff, absolutely. And I've did an experiment during COVID, and I should have done a video on it. I bought 3 bags of food, and the goal was to see how long the 3rd bag would last. So I put the first bag, I have a bin, a plastic tupper, like a big one on wheels, put the first bag in there, and I fed the dogs. And I figured out, okay, if I give each dog a scoop per serving, whatever amount of scoops I give them, the bag lasts a month and change. So I know 1 bag equals 1 month. So I had 3 bags would equal 3 months. I wanted to see if the food after 3 months sitting in a dry area was still good, and it was. Okay, in this case it was Purina Pro Plan, but most dog and cat foods will be just fine so long as they don't get a pest in it and they don't get water. They'll be fine. So have a couple of bags of dog food or cat food, depending. Please do not abandon your dog. Do not tie your freaking dog to a tree and leave them food and water and say, oh, they'll figure it out. The dog will die. Okay? And you're probably thinking, who the hell would do that? In Houston, we saw that so many times. My daughter was working as a surgical tech in one of the bigger hospitals in Houston, and she said cops were coming in with dogs that had been left behind, tied to a tree, or just left loose in the yard. And the dog doesn't know what to do, right? The water came up and its humans have abandoned him. And that pissed her off. It pissed me off when she told me. Don't abandon your pets, okay? If you have pets and you don't have a plan to take them with you, you probably shouldn't have a pet. And I mean, that sounds ugly, but it's true. All right, you wouldn't have kids, leave your freaking kids. Although we've seen people do that as well. Yeah, don't leave your pets, but plan now, because what you don't want is a bunch of loose dogs and loose kids in your car, and you're trying to drive through floodwaters or trying to get into an evacuation. You don't want to do that. Now's the time. I make a point of driving my dogs. For those of you who followed me for a while, I have Corgis. I have a habit every week I take them somewhere to where they know the drill. When I say I put the harnesses on, they know it's go bye-bye time. And when I open the front door, they go straight to the trucks and they sit and they wait to figure out which truck they're going in. And then they get in a line. I need to video this. It's the funniest thing. They wait there, and I have because they're shaped like a potato, I have a handle on the back of their harness. I pick each one up like a suitcase, put it in the truck, put the dog in the truck, and latch it to its seatbelt. And then I grab the next dog, and it's just like loading luggage, but my luggage is alive and has legs, and they bark. And they know the process, and they know where to go, and they know this is when you go in the car. So make sure your pets are acclimated to travel. I had a cat once upon a time who would drive with me. He'd hang out in the passenger seat, and then when I ordered pizza, he'd come to the window and meow at the people. That's rare. Most cats will freak the hell out if you stick them in a car. So have a cat carrier. If you have a dog that's not socialized or not used to driving, you either need to have a kennel, a crate of some type for them, or you give them the Thunder Buddy pills. And then when they're stoned, you put them in the car, because then they'll be drooling and they won't do anything. What you don't want is your German Shepherd jumping into your lap while you're on the highway, and now you have an accident with a dog on top of you. So, but yeah, everyone just do those little things now and think through. If you think the storm's gonna hit, because usually about 48 hours out, you have a good idea where the storm's gonna go. So if it gets to that point, you live in those areas and it's like, wow, now I really got to jump ship. I got to get out of here. Pack your bags 2 days before and wait. And if you don't need it, you had a practice run, right? Consider it real life training. And if you, sorry, that guy just made a totally illegal U-turn in the street. I was like, what are you doing, dude? He's going to get in a wreck doing that. Consider it a dry run if you pack everything up and then you are like, oh no, the storm's not as bad, or we're not going to evacuate. It's better to stay here because the roads are bad. Whatever your decision is, you can consider it a practice run for something more serious, because there will be times you do have to evacuate, like the Kerrville floods, like the fires in Los Angeles. There's some forces of nature and man that you just can't fight. You can't just hunker down. You have to flee. So do that. Pre-pack. Don't panic. You've got 5 days. You'd be shocked what you can accomplish 3 hours a day over 5 days. Like a phenomenal amount of time. We spend more time staring at our kitchen, trying to figure out what to cook. You can definitely make progress, and it also shows you where you're lacking. If you go, holy cow, I don't have AA batteries for my flashlights. As a matter of fact, all of them have no AA batteries. Well, now you realize you need to keep better track of your batteries. These kind of scenarios are a great training opportunity, and it doesn't hurt to get ready in advance, but without panic. You have 5 days. I can pack my whole freaking house. If I can rent a trailer, I can take most of my house in 5 days. And if you don't have to go anywhere, you can pack all the shit, put it back in the house. So anyway, folks, I'm going to leave you with that. Remember, hurricanes are not a joke, and the ground in that area is already saturated. The waterways, the bayous, the floodways are already full of water from the previous floods we just had. So if that storm hesitates, if it stalls out, and it rains on Houston for a significant time, it's going to be a problem. So plan now, so you're not trying to plan on the fly at 2 a.m. because the firefighters banged on your door and said, your house is about to be full of water, get out. Okay, and remember, in Texas, the policy is, if it is too dangerous for the responders to come get you, no one's coming for you. The governor said if your area is given an evacuation order and you don't leave, don't call 911 when the water is in your house and say someone needs to come get us because nobody's coming. He said, because we're not going to put their lives at risk because you did not obey or you did not plan. And that was also, he also said that you should put your social security number and Sharpie on your arm so they can notify your next of kin when they find your body. This is the kind of shit we say in the South, but it's true. Why should the cops and firefighters die because you didn't listen? So plan to, and if you get that order, if the firefighters or cops say you are in a major danger, get the hell out of here, folks, that's not the time to plan. Do it now. You have time. There's no excuse. Take the time, do the inventory to hunker down, and then plan to pack bags if you gotta bail. We travel so much, we can pack and be gone in 30 minutes if we have to. Other than that, folks, I'm going to leave you with that warning and that heads up. You guys do what you got to do. Be safe out there. And for those of you not in the hurricane area or not affected by this, watch what's happening in Texas. These are great lessons for you to apply in your area, because surely, no matter where you live, there's always something that can be a problem. What can you apply in your area based on what you're seeing from us? You guys be good, be safe out there, and stay blessed. I'll see you all later on this week. You guys take care.